Well guys, it has officially happened. We knew with the Los Angeles Lakers going into the playoffs as a 7 seed, things might get a little rough in the first round. I mean, normally 7th seeds not only lose to 2nd seeds, but they often get demolished. And that is not what is happening here. The Lakers are just down 3-2. However, with that said, a lot of people have been placing the blame for the Lakers' last few losses on their injuries. As we all know, of course, in Game 5, Anthony Davis did not play, and the Lakers got absolutely demolished. They lost by 30 points. The thing is though, a 30-point loss to the Phoenix Suns is not something we can just gloss over. This was a statement, and the Lakers are in a lot more trouble than just not having Anthony Davis right now. This roster has problems for this year's playoffs. This roster has problems for the future. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it, this roster has so many problems that we have to wonder, is anything happening in the back of LeBron's head right now? Because what's up guys, Mike here, and personally, I do not like the situation that is happening with the Los Angeles Lakers at all. Now, we are going to get into the Phoenix Suns later on in today's video, but before we start with anything, quickly guys, if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. And if you could leave a like, that would help me out a ton. It helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. All it takes is one click of a single button, and you guys have been killing it with likes lately, so thank you. I just want to quickly talk about Anthony Davis. The reason being that Anthony Davis has gotten a lot of hate recently, and I'm not exactly sure why. Trust me when I say I've seen Anthony Davis flop before. It feels like every single game the man is on the ground holding his leg for some reason. However, with that said, yes, Anthony Davis flops, but usually the man is decently dependable. Now, he's not someone you could for sure pencil in every single game, but just look at last season. Have we already forgotten last season? Last year in the playoffs, Anthony Davis played and started in 21 games, averaged around 36.6 minutes per game, while also scoring 27.7 points, shot 57% from the field, had 9.7 rebounds, and his defense was awesome. You get the point here. But before we continue, guys, I want to say thank you to yt1s for sponsoring today's video. And if you didn't know, yt1s is an app for cultural assets where almost anyone can buy and sell shares of rare collectibles, sneakers, and art. There are over 100 rare items to choose from, and there are weekly drops every single week that add in new items. For instance, on my phone right now, I'm going to buy into 3 exclusive drops. First up, we have a Michael Jordan red precious metal gems card. Also, as you can see here, you could buy shares into a 2003 Topps Chrome hobby box with a LeBron James or Dwayne Wade rookie card. yt1s also has Kevin Durant's 2017 Western Conference semifinals worn jersey. There are also several new drops coming soon, including a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson rookie card. And when it comes down to it, guys, yt1s is actually pretty simple. An item gets put on yt1s with a limited amount of shares available, and then us as investors are allowed to buy and sell shares in that item. If the item goes up in value, then so does the value of your shares. And guys, I want to make this clear, be sure to read the terms and conditions. Returns are not guaranteed. But could you imagine if this app was available before the trading card boom? I mean, recently a LeBron James rookie card just sold for over $5 million, which means, guys, if you want to get in on this, sign up for yt1s using the link in my description. If you go and use that link, yt1s is hooking you up. They're giving you your first share free when you fund your account. Go download yt1s, go check out the app, and for now, let's get back to the video. Looking back at all Anthony Davis did for the Lakers and the Lakers fans last season, I think he at least earns a pass for right now to miss a few games. Sure, it is the playoffs, but the man is legitimately hurt. On top of this, as you know from the title of this video, I think the Lakers' problems go a lot further than Anthony Davis's injury. When you are in the playoffs, you just have to expect that injuries to your star players are going to happen. Cough, Chris Paul on the Suns this exact series, cough. Now, the Suns have had an injured Chris Paul for a good part of this series. In fact, I'm going to read out some numbers for you right now. Chris Paul is averaging 9.4 points, 6.8 assists, and he's shooting 40% from the field in the 5 games he has played against the Lakers thus far. Those numbers are not good. If you took a random person off the street and then showed them Chris Paul's stats, they would assume he was some sort of role player. So I don't really want to hear the injury excuse for the Lakers. Yes, Anthony Davis has had to miss actual games, but there have been times where Chris Paul has been out on the court and simply could not shoot in the spots he wanted to due to his injury. Plus, when Chris Paul was injured, I saw a lot of people with the take of, you play with the roster you have in the playoffs, there are no excuses. So really, we have to apply that same logic to the Lakers. And when looking at the Lakers' real problems here, I think Markieff Morris has actually said this best. After losing in Game 5, Markieff said, "We have to find that sense of desperation that has not hit this team yet, I feel like, this season. Being down 3-2 are back against the wall. Last game of the season possibly, would be a good time to show that championship DNA. He also said, they're just disrespecting us. They're punching us and we ain't punching back. That's how I felt all night. And Markieff, I could not put this better myself. As it stands right now, and I know sometimes with these videos, you'll see the Lakers win the next 2 games and suddenly they look like a way better team and my take looks horrible, but that's fine, because as it stands right now, this Lakers team simply is not playing with the same heart or chemistry that last year's Lakers team did. Last year, this was a team on a mission that had vets that were the soul of this team that gave them a serious lift when they needed it. Switch that around and watch this current Lakers team and we're not getting the same thing. And so at this point, let's go into specifics here. Let's talk about 2 specific players. And of course, those guys are going to be Dennis Schroeder and Andre Drummond. Now, let me just start off with Andre Drummond. When the Lakers got Andre Drummond in a buyout, I was not the biggest fan. I made that very public. I just personally think Andre Drummond is kind of an empty stats guy. I don't believe in his defense at all. I think he makes a ton of mental mistakes on the defensive end. He shoots horribly from around the basket. Headed into signing with the Lakers, Andre Drummond was actually second to last in the entire NBA in field goal percentage around the rim, which is not a stat that big men should be second to last in. Big men get easy looks under the basket, big men get dunks. The person who was in dead last was Kelly Oubre. For a center to shoot that poorly around the rim is just simply inexcusable. And from every indication, the Lakers have said that Andre Drummond is going to be a part of their future plans. In fact, on Zach Lowe's podcast, The Low Post, ESPN's Dave McMenamin said the Lakers have signaled to everyone listening that Drummond is a part of the future moving forward with this franchise. That to me is a problem, as is Dennis Schroeder. Because sure, on paper, these guys should be coming into their primes. Andre Drummond is about to turn 28 years old. Dennis Schroeder is also about to turn 28 years old in 2 months, so it would seem the Lakers are setting themselves up with a core of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Andre Drummond, and potentially still could lock into a contract extension with Dennis Schroeder in the offseason. That to me just doesn't seem like it's going to work out, and I also think that is a huge concern going forward. As we all know, with Dennis Schroeder, he turned a 4-year, $84 million extension down with the Lakers, which at the time raised some eyebrows. The thing is, though, that wasn't a crazy thing to do at all. It's been reported just today that Evan Fournier is looking for a similar contract. He's looking for around $20 million per year. So I can understand why Dennis Schroeder, point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers, thought that he was worth more than 4 years, $84 million. And maybe he will be. Maybe some team will still take a flyer on him. I think that team's going to be disappointed though. The reason being that after these 5 games, I think all Dennis Schroeder has given us is questions. My biggest question is, what kind of player is Dennis Schroeder? Because during the regular season, before Andre Drummond came in, Schroeder was the Lakers' 3rd option, right? I mean, last season he averaged almost 19 points and 4 assists a game. This season he averaged 15.4 points, 5.8 assists per game. Solid and respectable numbers for your starting point guard. The problem is, headed into this series, a lot of us were hyping up the Dennis Schroeder versus Chris Paul matchup, and people were saying that if Dennis Schroeder could just hold his own against Chris Paul, the Lakers were going to be in a very good position. Dennis Schroeder has not only not held his own against Chris Paul, in Game 5, he was outplayed by Cam Payne. So I just wanted to say credit to Cam Payne. It is incredible the turnaround he has had, but Dennis Schroeder, man, if you are asking for 4 years, $84 million, you can't be getting outplayed by Cam Payne. To finish off talking about the Lakers, I also want to talk about LeBron James, because let's be honest here, LeBron is 36 years old. He's played 18 seasons in the NBA. No matter how much money he spends on his body to keep him as healthy as possible, eventually the miles were going to add up, and that is exactly what we are seeing in this year's playoffs. LeBron, to put this very simply, is injured. His ankle is injured. However, he's also getting old, and to be perfectly honest, I still am in the mindset that I'm never going to count LeBron out of any playoff series. He has personally, for me, more than earned that. However, with the Lakers struggling, we do have to ask 2 questions. And the first is LeBron taking a slight step back? Now, I'm not all aboard the LeBron James panic train by any means, trust me. I think while watching LeBron, it's way more of a situation of what more can this man possibly do? The rest of his team is shooting like absolute garbage. For the playoffs this season, KCP is shooting 22%. Alex Caruso is shooting 37%. Kyle Kuzma is shooting 31%. Wesley Matthews is shooting 29%, Ben McLemore 22%. You get the point here. Role players are just simply not knocking down open shots. There's not much LeBron can do about that. With that said, even though I know it's tough, even though I know the Suns are basically building a wall against LeBron, we have to admit that this is not the same LeBron that once, no matter who was guarding him, no matter what the defense was throwing at him, could go out and get you around 40 to 50 points despite all odds. LeBron has gotten a little older. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The problem is his team is completely letting him down. And when looking at this Lakers roster, are we that confident that they're going to turn things around? I mean, to be fair, a bunch of guys on their roster are shooting a lot worse than they normally do. Even with that said though, what is the Lakers' future going forward? Now, I don't think LeBron is actually going to leave. I think he's already had such an incredible NBA career. I think he's set up in LA. I don't think he's gonna want to leave anytime soon, but unless the Lakers get some serious help this offseason, assuming things stand as they are and assuming that this roster just does not compete at the level they did last year, well, then what do the Lakers really do this offseason? Because if you commit to Andre Drummond, I'm not really sure what you're committing to. Personally, I believe, and I've always believed, that Anthony Davis plays way better at the center position, and the numbers certainly back that up. At the center position, Anthony Davis is a matchup nightmare. He is an incredible rim defender. He could switch onto guards in the pick and roll. He scores around the basket with ease. He's practically unstoppable down there. There is no reason at all for the Lakers to turn Anthony Davis into a guard-like player while playing him at the 4, because that becomes his mindset for some reason. When Anthony Davis is playing power forward, the man does too much spotting up. He tries to take players off the dribble too often. He just does not play the game that he is capable of playing. So if you combine that with the addition of Andre Drummond, who, if you ask any Pistons fan, if you ask any Cavs fan, is a man who puts up hollow numbers. He's a man who puts up empty stats. He is a man who in recent years has not proven to make your team better. When you combine adding Andre Drummond with the fact that Anthony Davis should be playing center, in my opinion, you've got some problems. Now, how do the Lakers solve those problems? Well, I'm sure we're going to see the answer this offseason, especially if they do take this first round loss. Just to show you guys how historic this first round has been for LeBron right now, the only other team to ever win 3 games against LeBron in the first round of the playoffs was the 2018 Indiana Pacers. That is the only other team in his entire career. What we are watching right now is historic. And guys, that's why I'm gonna say I would not be surprised at all if the Phoenix Suns do take down the Lakers in game 6 or in game 7. And then from there, I would not be surprised if Phoenix did make a run. Right now, we have Devin Booker looking like a legitimate NBA star. This is a man who currently has the whole world watching him, and he is leading his team to an upset over the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. On top of this, we are seeing the emergence of DeAndre Ayton. Now, I know Suns fans, I know DeAndre Ayton has been a solid player all season, but the world has not exactly been watching. We've seen Luka get the credit he deserves. We've seen Trae Young get the credit he deserves. And now it certainly seems like it is DeAndre Ayton's time. Currently, the man is averaging 17.4 points, 12.2 rebounds per game in the playoffs. That is against Andre Drummond. That is against Anthony Davis in a few of those games. And he is shooting 80% from the field. Keep in mind, Ayton is just about to turn 23 years old. He is establishing himself as the perfect center to run with Devin Booker for years to come. On top of that, we have contributions from a bunch of guys. Again, Cameron Payne has stepped his game up. We've seen Cam Johnson have some good moments. Dario Saric has had some good moments. Jay Crowder has certainly at times flashed his playoff experience. And then we've got Mikal Bridges. Mikal could not have been more impressive to me this season. Mikal Bridges, as it stands, has done everything Phoenix could ask of him in the playoffs thus far defensively. Now, offensively, he has taken a slight step back, but he's just missing a few more shots than he did in the regular season. With that in mind, he is still shooting around 43% from 3, making him, in my eyes, certainly one of the best 3-and-D players we've seen this entire playoffs so far, and also helping to make the Phoenix Suns, in my eyes, become that much more dangerous, become that much more of an actual contender. So guys, I guess we'll see, because this could be an obituary video for the Los Angeles Lakers. They could lose in game 6, and with that, their entire future will be up in the air. With that all said, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.